Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, human being American in YouTube Ronin, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's episode of Live from Sparkwood in 21. This show chronicles the 1990s cult classic television series Twin Peaks, co-created by the legendary David Lynch and Mark Frost. Joining me on this journey are superfans Last Call Troy Pacelli,
Good evening.
Natters Network,
Good evening.
and Aged Boomer.
Justice for Flappy.
Power to the birds. All right. I would like to say hello to a few people who've joined us in the chat tonight. Speaking of birds, the bird woman of YouTube, faithful Blue Wrench and channel member, Connie Cleary. All right. And Connie dropping a member chat, member for 10 months. Right on. All right. Let's see who else. We have channel member JPRPH1. Who has also dropped a 10-month member chat.
Yeah.
Right on. Let's see. Scrolling up. I don't want to miss anyone. All right. The creator of the 10-word review, the host of Films with Friends, which a few certain someones on this panel might be showing up over the next couple of weeks. Big Al presents.
Oh.
Always good to see you, sir. All right. Let's see. Scrolling. Rawhide.
Big
All
Al,
right.
a Twin Peaks fan?
I'm not sure.
All right.
But he's always here, so it's good to see him. All right, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. All right. I think that's everybody on my end for right now. All right. Well, as those of you who have been following the show know, over the last 5 weeks, we have been discussing the fan film, Queen of Hearts. We did a watch party for that film. We divided it up over 4 weeks' time, culminating in a Q&A with its writer, director, editor, cinematographer, co-star, probably caterer, Cameron Codier, who was very kind to take time out of his schedule to join us. Now we are going to go back a few weeks where we did a couple of episodes about the Mark Frost's book, which was the Secret History of Twin Peaks. And we kind of left things off in the middle, but we're going to spend the next couple of weeks kind of wrapping that book up. And Troy has really been working hard behind the scenes to bring this presentation to you. So I am not going to jaw jack any longer. I'm going to let Troy take the stage here.
Okay. So I am going to preface this by saying I'm going to, this week and next week, I'm kind of changing things up a little bit. The first we did this for 4 weeks. We had 4 parts where I was giving, synopses of portions of the book, and I really only got through half the book. And I thought, as I looked at what the rest of the content was, the second half of the book, I'm like, maybe I can get all this down into one episode. And I realized I just couldn't. But this is the biggest chunk of that last half of the book. Very, very, very much summed it up because I realized that the amount of detail I would need to go into to really explain it completely, you guys should just be reading the book. And honestly, you guys really should be reading the book. I am not really doing it justice. I'm literally just giving you a synopsis.
Will there be a quiz?
No, there won't be. Well, if there was going to be a quiz, I would tell you it would be open book. But I really feel like even if you read this whole book, you're going to want to go and do the Google foo and look up a lot of other things.
Oh, very much, yes.
A little, I guess you'd call this like a spoiler for tonight's presentation. I'm going to tell you exactly, how this basically all wraps up. My conclusion on this is that this segment that I'm going to go into, which, like I said, is the better part of the second half of the book, establishes that every conspiracy theory, every alien sightings, cryptids, secret societies, prehistory, civilizations, all that stuff, in all of the, basically everything you've ever heard about on the Y-Files and Art Bell and all that kind of stuff, it's all real in the Twin Peaks world. It's entirely legit, just Freemasons and Illuminati and Greys and reptilians and the Roswell crash, all of it 100% real. And so, as you're going through it and you're seeing like the names of real people and stuff, if you go and you do some research on them, you realize, holy crap, that person really was involved in this, that, and the other thing, and was interested in this, that, and the other, and was part of this secret society, and blah blah blah, and this and that. It starts to be a real noodle scrambler. It's very much very difficult to be able to determine where the fiction of David Lynch and Mark Frost ends and where reality begins. And I start to see why, conspiracy theorists, start to, yes, I did just reference the Y-Files because the Y-Files on repeat all through the night. So I really felt like this portion of the book, it actually indirectly quotes this, but I think we get the best Twin Peaks explanation of that passage through the darkness of future past. The magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds. Fire, walk with me. When they start talking about Jack Parsons and his connection to Aleister Crowley and all that kind of stuff.
Magician, Aleister Crowley.
Exactly. And the two worlds being science and mysticism. Yeah, it's very clear the analogy they're referencing. But yeah, let me get into this. Also, this is not going as even though I said this is a huge long section of the book, this isn't like the last one that was like 7 pages where I realized I was just droning on and on and on and on. This is 3 pages. I am very brief on just touching on things. Guys, you're really going to, if you really want to dig into the lore of Twin Peaks, this book is a must. It really is. So, anyway, when we left off, 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago, guys. On the Secret History of Twin Peaks, I began to go down a bit of a rabbit hole about the backstory of Norma, Big Ed, and Nadine. I think we'll leave that story at that. There's a lot of backstory there too, and I couldn't sum it up without wasting the details. If you get, and I said it right here in my notes, if you get nothing else out of these summations of the book, you should have realized that if any of this is really of interest to you, you really should dig into it yourself. So that being said, we're going to move on to the story transitions to Dr. Jacoby, and he had just returned to Twin Peaks shortly after Nadine lost her eye and began seeing him in a clinical setting. It goes into some detail about Jacoby's book, The Eye of God, Sacred Psychology and the Aboriginal Mind.
The eye, get it?
Yes, I'm getting to. No, you're keying into exactly what I'm getting into here, and his time in Hawaii studying the native tribes and their spiritual beliefs. A major focus appears to be on his experience with ayahuasca. Is that how it's pronounced? And the hallucinogenic episodes that resulted. These trips, he describes, are very similar to common reports in the real world, experiencing other dimensions and encountering extraplanar beings. Often they're ascribed to have some sort of a divine nature to them. Then an excerpt from Jacoby's analysis of Nadine. Again, after losing her left eye, he analyzes the eye loss along the idea of the right brain, left brain model, in that perhaps losing the left eye has shut down the connection between her visual cortex and the intuitive part of her brain, thereby allowing her to, in quotes, fly blind, end quotes. The clear implication is that is why, as we see her, she so easily overlooks obvious facts, Big Ed's infidelity and the realities of her marriage. There is also an implied connection with her drapery runners, wanting to control what she sees and doesn't see, and not wanting to hear anything that she doesn't see. In summation, Jacoby draws the correlation between his analysis of Nadine's right-left visuality to why he wears red-blue 3D glasses, giving an insight to the red-blue elements found throughout the book and the Easter eggs they reveal. I mentioned in at least one previous discussion of this book that as you're going through literally the pages, the pictures and some of the notes and whatnot are written in like some of it is written in blue and some of it's written in red. So if you were to wear like 3D glasses, those stereoscopic red blue type 3D glasses like Jacoby has, and cover one eye, a bunch of stuff would disappear. And if you cover the other eye, a bunch of stuff would disappear. And it's very clear that what disappears when you cover your left eye is thematically related, and what disappears when you cover your right eye is thematically related. And there are some interesting clues and Easter eggs in those relationships. The autopsy of Josie Packard. Now, this is an excellent point. It clears up something that may not have been clear when we saw Josie die, right? It's not like her body disappeared. She just died, and her body is there, and they were able to do an autopsy on her. So the autopsy of Josie Packard underscores that there is no apparent cause of death. No exterior or internal wounds or damage, no drugs, no poison. Only one note. There is a Twin Peaks post clipping reporting. Oh, that's not the note. I completely overlooked the note. Anyway, you know what? I can go back to the book itself real quick, because that's a thing that I can do. It was just before this. Here it is. I'll tell you, when we get into some of this character stuff, it really is kind of heartbreaking. Yes, here it is. A curious anomaly. Again, this is from the autopsy report on Josie Packard by Dr. Hayward. Curious anomaly. Body weight much less, at least 25 pounds than physical appearance would indicate. I have no explanation for this. Again, that's because he sees nothing wrong. Not that she had, eaten or not eaten. There was no explanation. She seemed healthy in every physical way. He would have noted too if there was any kind of cardiac issue, like a heart attack, like should I say a normal heart attack. You could assume it was coronary arrest, but coronary arrest usually doesn't happen without some kind of a reason. Electrocution is one reason. Chronic VFib. But yeah, she just died. Anyway, that's all that was. It's just an interesting little update on the Josie Packard situation. Oh, and Six, it's so good to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome. Then there's a Twin Peaks post clipping reporting the explosion at the bank. Audrey survived, having been shielded in part by the bank vault door, as well as by Pete Martell, whose body was found lying atop her. That's heartbreaking, but somehow so beautiful and heroic.
It's what Pete would have done.
Exactly. No, there's no question about it. That even if it hadn't been in the book, you'd have almost assumed it, right? But
Yeah.
Catherine Packard sold the sawmill to Ben Horn and the Ghostwood Project pretty much immediately after the events. And of course, it goes back into the fire that happened there and how business had been dwindling anyway, and so on and so forth. There is a note from Audrey. This is also very heartbreaking. It's like a 3-page handwritten note from Audrey to her father. It demonstrates that she was doing this, being at the bank and everything, in the hopes of getting her father's attention, getting him to listen to her, and to respect that she had grown up and decided to no longer be a, quote, in her own word, selfish bitch, close quote. That's what she said, But it's exactly what the fans realize. You see her character grow. Like, what a pissant she was in the first episode, and how she's really trying to take responsibility for things, in the second season. She called for a press conference. She's the one who called for the press conference. There was some mystery about that at the bank, where she intended to explain why she was protesting the Ghostwood Project and to expose her father's illicit dealings. A patient file on Ben Horn containing Jacoby's notes on the Civil War breakdown gives some insight to all that whole crazy story. I think we analyzed it pretty well ourselves when we were going through the episodes. Then the strings of Jean Renault and Hank Jennings stories are tied up. We know that Hank Jennings died in prison. There's also a note that he sent to his friends and family in Twin Peaks, literally the day before he was killed. Then we get into Project Sign becoming Project Grudge. In 1949 letter from Richard Nixon to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, describing a conversation between Nixon and L. Ron Hubbard. Yes, that L. Ron Hubbard. The conversation. Yes, that guy. The conversation gives insight into Jack Parsons, the founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and his connection to Thelema and Aleister Crowley. Apparently, Crowley, Parsons, and others used used Parsons' mansion in Pasadena to take drugs, practice sex magic, and do some other weird crap. I mean, I'm just summarizing, Parsons' connections to all this, along with his place in Jet Propulsion Laboratory, was viewed to be sort of a potential security issue. Tammy Preston expounds on the history and gives a summation of Thelema. Parsons claims that magic and rockets are both about transcending limits of space and time. Then Parsons begins to quote, "The magician longs to see." He obviously doesn't give the whole quote. Sometime after the conversation, Hubbard conned Parsons out of his fortune and ran off to Florida with Parsons' girlfriend, Sarah Northrup, where they used the money to buy a yacht. He soon published Dianetics, borrowing multiple ideas and themes from Thelema. This is real world history. That's true. The Hubbard connection to Parsons, stealing the girlfriend, running off with her, stealing Parsons' money, and starting Dianetics. What they don't get into is after buying that boat and running into some legal problems, he spends a lot of time out on that boat in international waters, avoiding having to deal with the jurisdiction of really any country. But again, that's the kind of thing you could dig into, outside of just this book. When Parsons' security clearance came up for review, Nixon sent Doug Milford to Pasadena to investigate all of this. Milford met with Parsons and found out that Parsons and Hubbard were working on a big ritual out in the desert because, quote, "deserts are a perfect medium for summoning an empty canvas, a beaker into which, under certain circumstances and with fearless rigor, you can create an elixir that will call forth messengers of the gods," close quotes. He describes these messengers as Zeta Reticulans, or the Greys. He also mentions tall ones, the Nordic type, who are different and more benign and came from Sirius, the dog star. Obviously, Tammy Preston is having none of this. She thinks it's all just wackadoo hokum, but there's too much here for us, at least within the span of the Twin Peaks world, to just dismiss it.
Are the Nordic types the ones that kidnapped that guy in South America, abducted, and well, I can't talk about it on the stream. Never mind.
They don't go into that. I expect if you say Nordic type, I'm going to assume they mean like some sort of angelic type appearance.
I was thinking they look like Swedes or something, but with the eyes.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay.
I always thought that if you saw an angel, they would look like those energy beings, in Star Trek, the kid with the blonde hair and the silver robe,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or David Bowie in the Man Who Fell to Earth.
Well, yeah. We'll get to David Bowie in a second, though. Parsons said that White Sands, New Mexico, was a place they had visited, and it was, in quotes, "fertile grounds for the working." That's a capital W, working, close quotes. He went on to explain the working was the working of Babylon, calling forth the elemental. Apparently, in their research, he came to believe that explosions could summon forth the goddess Babylon, the mother of abominations. He was also trying to open a second gate that they found in the desert in order to bring across an entity he called the Moonchild. Moonchild is the title of a 1923 novel by Crowley about a battle between two lodges of black and white magicians over an unborn child who may or may not be the Antichrist. The ritual is open. The ritual to open this second gate apparently occurred just prior to the Roswell incident. By the way, this book, Moonchild by Aleister Crowley, is absolutely a real book. You can check it out if you so choose. So in 1948, the U.S. military officially rejected Project Sign's conclusions that UFOs appeared to be of no known earthly origin. Project Grudge was given the direction to debunk any UFO sightings. And they said that and they used the mainstream media to do so. In 1952, Grudge was shut down and a new lower key program took its place, Project Blue Book. An excerpt of Doug Milford's journal from 1958 discusses the Masons and Illuminati machinations, Truman, and Eisenhower, specifically Ike having disappeared for 42 hours during a quail hunting trip, a, in quotes, yellow book, and an apparent first contact incident, which apparently was the inspiration for Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. A top secret memo from the Department of Air Force dated February 24th of 69 from Milford's official records outlines the Nixon administration and its involvement in Project Blue Book and the Condon Report. This marks the first mention of extra-dimensional explanations for these extraterrestrial beings. Milford returned to Twin Peaks, and in 1973, he again met with Nixon, and his journal outlines this event. It strongly implies a connection between all of the, like Men in Black type stuff and character assassination of Nixon and the Watergate scandal. It also introduces another historic figure to the narrative, Jackie Gleason. While his name is redacted from the entire journal entry, a handwritten phone number. Yeah, Jackie Gleason, like the archetype.
Yes.
Yeah, the archetype for Fred Flintstone. Exactly. Yes. And this isn't as crazy as it sounds. I'll get to that in a second. Okay. While his name is redacted from the entire journal entry, a handwritten phone number at the end of the entry is confirmed by Tamara to have belonged to the residence of Gleason at the time. She elaborates on his role in all this woo-woo. The entry describes a meeting with a Gray, apparently the survivor of the Roswell incident. And this was Milford, Jackie Gleason, Nixon, and some general, apparently. And it was just the most bizarre thing. It kind of, the way it's described kind of reminded me of the aliens in the movie Signs, the M. Night Shyamalan film.
Because we're getting into some Whitley Strieber area here. Remember when Communion came out and stuff like that? That was a huge deal.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, I did very much gloss over the whole Jackie Gleason thing. Apparently, he really was into ufology, I think they call it these days. And he bought a house. I don't remember where, but he had it built in the shape of a UFO and whatnot, and he was real into all of that stuff. So it's not as crazy as it actually sounds. Let's see. What was the other thing? Thor from Stargate. Yeah, there you go. That would be Nordic, all right. Absolutely right. And Andy Masterson, give me your Garmin brochure.
Yeah.
all your pain and suffering. Absolutely, Andy. Good to see you, my friend. Finally, a private journal entry. Oh, wait.
Oh.
This entry describes a meeting with Grant. Yes. And then finally, a private journal entry of Milford describes a final conversation with Nixon in July of 1974. Nixon outlines the government conspiracies on both sides, for and against Blue Book and the alien contacts, and conspirators against Nixon himself. In summation, these shadow agencies inside the government are trying to reverse engineer the ship from the Roswell incident. He also confirms the Greys, the reptilians, and possibly 4 other aliens involved in all of this. Joe's Atmosphere. That's
Yes.
very nice of you.
On his way to
You're welcome,
me.
sweetie.
Thank you for the $1.99. And safe
Uh,
travel, sir.
absolutely. So again, like I was saying at the beginning, basically every conspiracy theory, every alien legend, every bit of esoteric lore is real and literal in the world of Twin Peaks. The archivist essentially brings it all up to date by stating that Ford put Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld in charge of all this MIB stuff, and that's the last anyone heard anything of it. Well, except maybe until Doge starts poking around. We'll see. This was written before all that, so they wouldn't have mentioned any of that. As for Milford and the archivist himself, an article from July 15th, 1982, Twin Peaks Post, welcomes the Briggs family to Twin Peaks. A secret Department of Justice memo to Mayor Dwayne Milford, dated May 28th, 1983, explains that the Blue Pine facility was directly related to Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative and, as such, classified top secret. This memo was signed by FBI Regional Director Gordon Cole and Special Agent Philip Jeffries. Tamara Preston, because she answers directly to Cole, said, "I am going to confirm this with someone else, so there's no conflict in interest." But she is able to then confirm that this memo was intended to get Milford and the local law enforcement to leave the facility alone and let them do their investigation into the weird goings on, and we kind of get brought up to date by Major Briggs himself during the course of the show. Watch out for the governor. Yeah, exactly. And that is where I'm going to hail to the panel. Welcome, Curtis. That is where I'm going to leave this summation. I got to tell you, that was well over 100 pages in this book, and there is not much left. But as I was telling, deleted behind the scenes. Deleted behind the scenes. I didn't mean that to do that, but that was funny. We're now going to be talking a little. There's just a few pages here, but it gets into some stuff about Margaret Lanterman, about Laura Palmer, and this is, stuff about characters we really, really care about, and lore that I'm sure you would be interested in, and I want to give it its due. I may even do something visual for next week in relationship to that. But yeah, if you are at all the type that is into UFOs, in search of, and the Y files and coast to coast and all that kind of weird stuff, I'm telling you, it's all here. It makes it very clear that Lynch and Frost were doing their research on this kind of stuff. I also recently, and it's not important because there's plenty of stuff out there for you to look into. But I happened to see a video the other day that was interviewing a gentleman who had a bizarre and very long spiritual journey from being studying to be a Roman Catholic priest to becoming a Mason and a Satanist and
What?
a Mormon. Oh my gosh, it's the most bizarre thing you've ever heard.
I'd say that's like 180 times 4 or something. It's like
But here's the funny thing. To hear him tell it, you start to think maybe it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Anyone who's in any religion, the whole point of being in a religion, right, is trying to make sense of the spiritual world around us, right? And if you believe in a spiritual world around us, you believe that there is a battle between good and evil going on all the time. Let's face it, if you boil down the Twin Peaks thing, the fight between the White Lodge and the Black Lodge, it may take weird symbology, but you could superimpose it with Judeo-Christian mythology, with Native American mythology, with Buddhist mythology, and it's all going to work, right? And what this gentleman was implying is something I've heard before, that most, if not all, of the major world religions are infested with corruption. Okay. And you may go into any given, let's say, Christian religion with the best of intentions to do good and, seek out the light, so to speak. But there are people even within that'll lead you astray and tell you, in fact, he was saying that when he was at seminary, a more advanced priest who was instructing him and whatnot said, Jesus was he was a witch, and started talking to him about the Solomon and the books of Solomon and the greater keys and this and that. And he goes, you really should, look into witchcraft and everything. Whoa, so he went and started studying witchcraft, which, see, you're already in, and okay. And you ask a witch, we don't believe in the devil. We don't believe in the devil. The devil's just an archetype, a symbol. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's what you're telling yourself. But, and like I said,
the Satanist thing too, though, that's what kind of threw me for a loop.
Well, because once you start down the dark path, right, forever will it dominate your destiny, right? And and he went through, the paths and the levels and the lodges, and he got into Freemasonry, and he got into, like I said, he got into devil worship and the whole bit, and he finally came out the other side. He said things about the Mormon Church that I won't repeat here, because I think there could be, so it could lead to defamation issues. It's nothing I know personally. But
there was a joke on Millennium where instead of Scientology in the episode, it was self-osophy, and Frank Black was investigating self-ophacy, and the Millennium Group said, Frank, stop going after the selfologist. And he says, why? We have looked evil incarnate in the face. And then his friend said, evil incarnate can't sue.
Well, yeah, good point.
Yes. You even had a stand-in for L. Ron Hubbard in the episode. It wasn't L. Ron Hubbard. It was another writer that was supposed to be him. Go ahead.
See, it would have been easy for me. It would have been easy for me to take everything this guy said and say, okay, this guy's just nuts. But there was just enough in it that if you hold it up to current events and things that you've seen, you go, there just might be something in this. At one point, he was talking about, he said when it comes right down to it, Satanism is just the worship of power, and, seeking eternal life and so on and so forth. And when he describes, how do I say this in a YouTube friendly way? when he describes what is necessary in Satanism for eternal life, it sounded very much like some Bohemian Grove type stuff, and stuff that might have happened with a certain guy who didn't 86 himself on, from a certain island. If you get what I'm saying. Doing things to very young people that is see,
pretty like that around here, mister.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
So
about.
as I'm listen, reading all this stuff about Thelema and all this stuff, and that, is in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is just too damn real world. All the trafficking, all the, disappearances, all the things that you see in the news lately. It's getting... I guess that's what good fiction does. You can't tell where the line between fiction and reality really is.
Right.
That's how you know they've woven a good tale. But it's all just really, really creepy stuff. But yeah, and if I would tell you guys, start with The Secret History of Twin Peaks, and if you see any names, if you see any dates or places or events that you think, I wonder how real that is, Google it up. And you're going to find out there's a lot more truth than there isn't. In a way, I mean, Doug Milford kind of plays like a Forrest Gump type character, right? Where everything in Forrest Gump was real, right? Those were all historic people. Those events happened and so on and so forth. It's just, Forrest Gump is a fictional character. He wasn't really there and didn't really have anything to do with those things. They kind of do the same thing with Doug Milford. It's like, if you look up Doug Milford on the internet, all you're going to find is Twin Peaks. But all the events that he witnessed and investigated, seems like most of them were pretty much real.
Very interesting.
Uh-huh.
Very interesting. Okay.
But the fact is that I've done actually a lot of research on the esoteric. I know a lot. So if anyone really wants to know more, I'd be happy to go into that, but maybe not on a live stream.
Interesting, man. I gotta tell you, the Y Files, it's called, right?
Yeah, you've never watched the Y Files?
No, I've never watched the Y File. I don't even know what that is. It's like the X Files, but it's like
a
YouTube
channel.
it's
Go
really
ahead,
cool.
drop the link for him to the Y Files. It's kind of like the modern day version of Coast to Coast, right? In fact, he's even said that he was very much inspired by Art Bell when he started putting the Y Files together. It's a YouTube channel that up until recently had a stream, had a video that would come out every Thursday night, usually about an hour long. The shtick is what's the bloke's name? AJ. AJ is the
And Hecklefish.
Is the guy, who's telling the story. His sidekick is a little talking goldfish named Hecklefish, because the fish heckles him. And
his girlfriend is Gertie, the camel.
Yes, the fish's girlfriend is a camel. It's true. There's lots of cool, funny lore behind all this. But each episode is them taking a different conspiracy theory or a different cryptid or a different, supernatural event and talking about it. And what I like about it is he doesn't present it as this is all 100% fact. He just tells the narrative as it exists out there in the world. And then at the end, he doesn't exactly debunk it, but he does he does kind of steelman certain certain arguments against it. Like, you know, this part of it was found to be a hoax, but there's no evidence about this. There's, you know, this, and this looks pretty legit. It's really hard to debunk this. So there might be something, you know, it's that kind of a thing. Yeah, they've been a little inconsistent lately because I think there's something going on over there behind the scenes. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of his topics have gotten him into a bit of trouble. He's outright said that was the case. So he's kind of taken a lot of his content to another platform that's more private. The first one you ever saw was on the Voynich manuscript. Yeah, I've done a lot of research on, because I love old books, and that Voynich manuscript, I'm like, that has got to be the most. That was someone who had just way too damn much time on his hands, and made a really cool looking book full of nonsense. I really think that's what it is. I don't think there's anything more to it than that. Just my opinion. My opinion.
Your opinion.
My opinion. Yes, exactly. His stuff about the Illuminati was likely to get him in trouble. Yeah, and if you can seek that out, that's why I brought up the Y-Files a couple times tonight, because it's a great primer for a lot of this stuff. He's got a video on Aleister Crowley. He's got a video on the Illuminati. I believe he's got one on the Freemasons. So that's a great place to start if you want more information about this stuff outside of the Twin Peaks thing. And I don't know if I should tell you, read the Secret History first and then look into this stuff on the Y-Files, or dig into the Y-Files a little bit so that you have something in your back pocket when you go into Secret History. You could go either way. Yep.
So some homework for all of us there. The Y-Files, great channel. Please check it out. And Netter has the link in the chat.
Everybody's stream.
And the great thing about it is he's much better than I am about talking about the other platforms he's on and how you can get more out of them. Like, I'm on their Discord too, and there's always conversations going on over there. If you have questions, you can, say you want to learn more about the Illuminati. You could do it on his Discord. You'll get a bunch of wackadoos. You'll get a lot of people that probably do know a thing or two. You're going to have to weed through it.
And then he also has a thing where it's kind of like a members only thing, where you can be like this on the panel, like
and talk to him directly.
Talk to him face to face, as much face to face as you can be over distance, and basically ask him anything. You can get like a tour of the studio and all this, which we've seen tours of the studio before, because he'll kind of like take his camera and kind of walk around the studio and go, "This is what it looks like." It's a serious studio. I mean, it's not like in his basement or anything. It's an actual studio. It's an actual studio. Yeah, it's with staff and everything.
I know it's professional goals. That's all I can say.
Hey, one day I want to have an editor. That's my goal. I want an editor because I hate editing.
We need an editor and a graphic designer, and
that's you.
I know. Well, that's just it. It is all me. I was speaking of YouTubers that do it all themselves. I just got the most recent Patreon video from Michael French at Retro Blasting, and he is working literally overtime trying to get the Rogue One video up by, I think he said he wants to have it up by the 23rd, and he is excreting bricks, to put it nicely, because there's just so much to be done and so much editing. and he's run into technical difficulties. The life of a YouTuber, I'm telling you. I mean, it's not like any of us have ever had any technical difficulties as streamers, right, guys?
Nah, never. Professional.
Of course not. Of course not.
When is Star Wars Celebration anyway?
I don't think we've had one since Disney took over. At least I haven't been celebrating. Seriously, I don't know.
So I'm wondering if Michael French is trying to time it for around when Celebration is happening.
Is that what he's doing it for?
Maybe.
I thought it had something to do with an anniversary date or something like that. I can't remember. Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. Welcome. Good to see you.
Wait a minute. I think it's going on the 18th through the 20th. That's this week.
Yeah, and like I said, he wanted to have it up the 21st or the 23rd or something like that. And I don't know what the importance of that date is.
Mm-hmm. Mark's 47 says the celebration is next week.
Next week. All right.
Okay. There you go. And welcome, Mark's 47. Good to see you. If I didn't, if you were here earlier, I didn't notice you. I apologize. And Gorilla Censored Thoughts, good to see you again. Happy National. Oh, is today tax day?
Yeah, today's April 15th.
Yes, I love the fact that you say extortion and not theft. Everyone keeps saying taxation is theft, and I'm like, it's not theft, it's extortion. Extortion is when they hold a gun to your head and say, you have to give me your money. Theft is when they break into your house and take your money.
Well, yeah.
I realize it's a pedantic difference, but it is a difference.
Or take your Magic the Gathering cards that you got legally through the mail.
Well, yes, exactly, Hasbro. No, you're exactly right. And yeah, I was only half joking when I made the comment about. Because let's face it, if you're a ufologist or whatever they call it, there used to be a lot of stuff coming out of Project Blue Book from the 70s into the 80s, and then it all went quiet, and now you're starting to hear about this stuff again, and the current administration is saying we're going to declassify anything that we've got on that kind of stuff, and it's like, honestly, if this book was being written or updated today, that would be an element that would be mentioned in there now. I have no doubt about it. But anyway, yeah, I am literally because I read this book when it first came out, and now as I'm doing this, I am rereading it physically with the book in front of me, playing the audios as well. It's I'm going to start dreaming about Twin Peaks again. I'm so immersed in it. There was one other thing that I wanted to share. No, it was not here. It was in the here it is. I did want to say, because I am going through the since I'm using the audio version, I'm trying to remember what's his. Give me a second. The actor Chris Mulkey, who played Hank Jennings, reprises his role as Hank Jennings, specifically reading that letter that I told you about that he sends before he dies. He also does the voice of a General Oliver Howard, Captain William Clark, like Lewis and Clark, and L. Ron Hubbard. I just thought that was really interesting that he does those voices. And then the letter that I was talking about that Audrey wrote is read by a female actress whose voice I didn't recognize. It clearly was not Sherilyn Fenn. So I looked it up, and it's Amy Shields. She does the voice of Norma Jennings, Audrey Horne, and Margaret Lanterman. Amy Shields was the main of the three girls in The Return, you know, in the pink dresses and the blonde bouffant hair, you know, that's Amy Shields.
Okay.
Yeah, at the casino. Right. Russ Tamblyn, of course, does the voice of Lawrence Jacoby, as well as, and I'm drawing a blank on Lawrence Jacoby's brother. Was it like a Robert or something like that? Robert Jacoby? Anyway. Mm-hmm. And of course, Annie Wershing as Tamara Preston. The segments of the dossier that are in that are reports from Agent Cooper, of course, are read by Kyle MacLachlan. He also does the voice of Harry Truman. I thought that was pretty cool too.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
The president or the sheriff?
Oh, the sheriff. Yeah, no. Although the president Truman is mentioned, he there's no notes or anything in his voice. So, yeah, it's the sheriff. But yeah.
Why not?
And that's all I. I was going to say that's all I got for this week. It was. I know I kept it brief, but there was a lot there. I really truncated it.
And didn't you say that next week is going to be the epilogue?
Next week will be the epilogue, yeah. And I think it's appropriate. It starts out with Margaret Lanterman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there is now a documentary that's soon to be in release that will be about Catherine Coulson and filming season 3, among other things. Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. Honestly, the behind the scenes and the real life characters, you know, of these actors were that's an incredible story in and of itself, and I'm just glad that I was able to have even a small part of it and got to meet so many of them, you know.
Yep.
Indeed. All right.
Very cool.
Indeed. All right. So, a short one this week, folks. But like Troy said, next week we are literally bringing the fire because it's going to be all about the Log Lady and Laura. So, stay tuned.
And then I'll be doing a 6-week series on Flappy's second career as a I don't know if I can say this on stream. Basically, he was robbing pharmacies and selling stuff on the side, if you know what I mean.
Gosh.
Was that before or after his stint as a male stripper?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, that was before. That was because you don't take the product you're stealing, man. I don't want to say he dipped into the Ritalin a little bit too much. It wasn't good. That wasn't his lowest point, the stripper, either. I'm not going to get into the lowest point yet, though. Okay. Yeah.
And then, of course, after that will be my 12-week.
Oh God.
my 12-week miniseries about the Douglas fir.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I go in depth, in detail. No? Okay.
Well, it depends on how in-depth you're going.
Oh, we're going deep. I'm sorry. Am I still on the air? Oh, my channel,
Yes,
my beautiful,
yes.
beautiful channel. It's all over.
Oh,
Oh, no. All right.
tears.
Of course, folks, as we do every week, please seek out the book. It is still available. Readily, I'm sure there's, of course, not only the physical edition, which we do suggest that you go out and get, because there are a number of things that are not in the obviously in the Audible version. I understand there's some photographs that have clues, kind of hidden clues in them as well. Did I understand you correctly on that one, Troy?
Yes.
Okay. So even if you have the Audible version, please get the physical version as well, because it goes another layer deeper.
Well,
So,
I will say this: the illustrations and whatnot are available with the audio edition as a PDF.
oh.
But there are some differences. It's almost worthwhile to have both and compare them. I can't say for certain, but I have to wonder if there isn't some gaming and clues in the differences between like two different versions of pictures and whatnot. I'm going to have to do more of a deep dive into that myself.
And hello to Space Fraggle. I do see you there in the chat. Good to see you, sir. All right.
Hello, Space Fraggle.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up for this week, unless there was anything else that anyone wanted to bring up. Of course, return here next week as we wrap up The Secret History of Twin Peaks. And of course, keep an eye out for the Catherine Coulson documentary. I think that's going to be a good one. So hopefully that will be, if not at least a wide release in theaters, certainly hopefully something that will be available and video on demand very soon. All right. Any last words before we wrap it up? Troy, what have you got coming up?
Yep. In about, a little less than an hour, I will be, Netter and I will be presenting the next episode of Blake 7. I believe it's episode 12 of season 2, The Keeper. And that has been I feel like it's been a very successful series. A lot of people have really been enjoying Blake 7. So, yeah, that's where we'll be right after this.
Right on. Netter.
As Troy said, right after this, we're going to be doing Blake 7. And a couple days ago, I dropped a new vid on money saving tips, so make sure you check that out. I also want to remind everyone out there, you can become a member.
That's true.
On Troy's channel every Monday, he has a members only stream. And you can only see the super secret stuff if you are a member. I am having member streams at least once a month. I'm trying to aim for 2. again, super secret stuff that you can only be a part of if you are a member. And I'm not sure what super secret stuff that Deleted has, but again, you can only be a part of it if you are a member. And it doesn't cost much. It's less than a cup or price of coffee, which isn't difficult since Starbucks is super expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
For Troy, his lowest tier is $1.99. My lowest tier is $2.99. That's usually what some of y'all put in as a super chat. And for that, you can be a member for an entire month. So just putting that out there.
Yep.
We're cheap, easy audience. And then let's see, stay tuned for Thursday, where my special guest will be the Bosco scenario. That's all I've got coming up this week, really.
Right on. Hello to Gary Ambrosia. Good to see you, sir.
Yeah. Welcome.
All right. That brings things around to me. Of course, stay tuned. If all goes well, and I am completely back online, coming attractions, which is going to be right after Thursday things, say around 11:30 or so Eastern. I have reviews out right now for Warfare, Black Bag, and Snow White. So check those out. And of course, my other show tonight, the Mystery Movie Night podcast, along with Tim's Corner and Off the Cover, was a review of what the hell is the name of that movie? On Swift Horses or
The horse you rode in on? Yeah.
Damn thing like that. Which I did not get the chance to see. So it was pretty much the Sin and Pulse show tonight. So check that out. And yeah, that's about it. Of course, stay tuned. I pop up in a number of different places. Saturday Night Karaoke with Outlaw Bill, and I'm kind of if all goes well, of course, unscripted. Sunday nights at 8. No topic set up yet, but I will by then. Western Cinema Presents, which will be around 4 p.m. also on Sunday. And reserved seats will return if the guest that I have in mind agrees. So that show will return. That'll be Sunday. Well, technically Monday, 12:05 a.m. Eastern. Sunday, 11:05 Central.
Cool.
All right. Of course, I do want to remind everyone we will be concluding our deep dive into The Secret History of Twin Peaks by Mark Frost next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. All right. I do want to thank everyone who is watching us tonight. We were up near the low 70 range at one point. So thank you all. I do want to thank everyone who is joining us here in the live chat, regardless of whatever channel you might have been watching from. And all right, Netter, would you care to take us out with your closing?
Absolutely. We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good, and fun. But it's so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat. And you're dropping the comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great day. great time. Wow. Don't
Well,
try to
both.
read something while you are talking.
Yeah. trying to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay.
You guys can be anywhere, and you're here. That is so encouraging. I love seeing you guys in each of our chats. Not just encouraging us, but encouraging one another, saying hello to each other, dropping, the comments and trivia and goofiness and all that. I love all that. And if you guys aren't here, I miss you. So even if you can't make a stream, like stay for the whole thing, can you just stop in, say hi, so we know you're okay? Because I worry about you guys. But I do want to thank you for not just being here to encourage us, but the many, many ways that y'all support our channels. I mean, I got a couple of super stickers tonight, super chats, and those are so amazing. All of those contributions to our channels helps us to grow our channels, getting better equipment, just making things better for you. Because we don't do this for us. We do it for you. And we want you to keep coming back. We want you to keep enjoying our streams. So thank you so much for that. You guys are Osmo.
Yep.
So we totally love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. So until next time, which if you stay right here, I mean, you'll have to wait a little bit, but you'll be redirected to Blake 7. Good night, and God bless.
Yep.
Yes, if you are watching on my channel, you will be redirected directly to Troy's channel for Blake 7. Once again, thank you all for joining us here tonight. We know a little bit of a truncated show, but next week when we close this out, I think it's going to be probably one of the best episodes that we've done. So stay tuned. From HQ, the corner of Sparkwood and 21, and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond. Good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe and healthy. Don't join any cults or
Please. Please.
please don't.
Flappy
We don't
Joe.
recommend it. We don't recommend it. Except the Flappy cult.
Well, no, I was just gonna say I have information not about Flappy, but Flappy Jr. may have gotten involved in some stuff, but that's for another stream.
Oh, geez. Because this is how we win.